Alright, now we're going to start Act 1. That was the introduction, the game setup. Now we're actually going to, Act 1 is searching for the victims. So we'll start here. He's going to pick a floor where he thinks the red cubes are. If he finds the red cube, he's going to place it here on the scoring table as long as any other clues from other players here. Then we will replace those and drop all the cubes back in there until we find both victims. If you say, I think it's on the 4th floor, and there is no red cube, then we're going to take all the cubes out of there that aren't the red cube of the players, drop them all back in, and it's because we were a sloppy investigator, we ended up leaving a fingerprint behind or something along those lines. So we have to drop one of our own cubes in there. So as you might imagine, you do not want your cubes here in the tower because you don't want suspicion cast on you. Hopefully you'll figure it out once we get going a little bit. So the black Psy, he's a super sleuth, I suppose. He's going to say it's the 5th floor is where a red cube is. And he did not find one, so I'm going to take all 3 of these away. Put this back. Now, he has to drop all these 3 cubes, plus one more of his because he was sloppy back in there. Do the yellow one first. We'll do a gray one, which is J.K. Rowling. Got one deep, and Psy just dropped his in. So now, blue. He's going to say the 3rd floor. Voila. Knock all these off. So that happened on the 3rd floor. So he'll take the red cube, put it on the 3rd floor. And now Kevin Durant, he's got to, we'll take one of each of these colors. It's not his. If one of his was here, he wouldn't have to put it in the scoring track. So he's going to take a brown, yellow, gray, and black. So we've got Psy, Vivica A. Fox, Christina Applegate, and J.K. Rowling all have left some clues. They all could be suspects. So basically, once we get to Act 2, we'll kind of figure it out. But you do not want your clues on this board, and also, more specifically, you do not want your clues on the same floor as the victim or on adjacent floors. That's more. If you have a clue on the 7th floor where there's nothing going on, it's not that suspicious, so it's not worth that many points. You do not want points. Whoever has the most points loses. But we'll go into Act 2 on how to remove these, how to add more on there. But for right now, I'm just going to drop these back here. So here's Vivica A. Fox's, J.K. Rowling's, Christina Applegate's, and Psy. So now Vivica A. Fox is up. She's going to say 6. No. Take these back. So has to get these 4 plus one of her own for being sloppy. Throw it back in here. Here's her own size. Christian Applegate's, another one of hers, and Kevin Durant. So now it's Christina Applegate is up. She's going to say 4, level 4. There she goes. She got it. She got it. So this was on 4. Put that right here on level 4. And we need 2 of Mel Gibson's and 1 of Psy's. Now we'll drop these back in and we'll advance to Act 2. Alright, so just now Act 2 is about to start, but before we do that, I want to kind of touch base what the rules are, what to expect. Basically, there's 2 different choices you have to make every turn. When it's your turn, just so I'm going to put this quarter here so we know it's J.K. Rowling's turn. While I talk. You have 2 choices. You can suspect other players or you can cover your tracks. As I mentioned, clues on the same floor or adjacent floors are worth lots of points. They make you very suspicious. So cubes on the same floor as one of the victims is worth 3 points. If it's adjacent, it is worth 2 points, I believe. And if it is anywhere else, so in this case 0, 1, 6, or 7th floor, it's only worth 1 point. So all of these cubes are actually worth 5 points because they are on the same floor and they're adjacent to the other one. So you do not want to be on level 3 or 4 basically. So when you suspect other players, you'll say, J.K. Rowling could say, I think Kevin Durant and Cy are on level 3, and you pick up level 3. If they have any cubes there, you get to put it on the board. If you were wrong, for each player that you're wrong, you have to throw in one of your cubes. Anyone else's cubes that you find don't get placed on the scoreboard or whatnot. So that's why it is a memory game. It's very difficult with 6 players. You're almost essentially guessing sometimes. That's why you really have to pay attention where these cubes are falling. And you have to really pay attention. You want to kind of find cubes on the 2, 3, 4, 5 level because those are worth more points. So that's how you do the suspect another player. The second option is cover your own tracks, where this is a way for you to remove some of your cubes. So like Mel Gibson, for example, he's got a lot of 2 white cubes on there. So does Cy, has 2 black cubes on the thing. If he wants to get rid of those, he can say, I believe I'm going to cover my tracks on level 4. So if Mel Gibson was up level 4, he picks up level 4. For every cube of his color there, he gets to remove one from here. So that's a way to kind of escape some of that. If he knows he's got cubes on level 4, then it's a good way to get it before someone else catches him and puts more of his cubes on the board. If he's wrong, then he has to put another one because he's a sloppy investigator. The game ends when one player has no more cubes in their supply because they're all in the tower, a combination of they're all in the tower or they're on the board, or when one player has 10 of their cubes on the score sheet or scoreboard, whatever you want to call it. At that point, the end game is triggered, and it ends immediately, and we calculate the scores. Anyone that people with the most points loses. In the case of a tie, I'm actually going to look in the rule book and figure out what they do in the case of a tie. They kind of just say it's it's just a tie. You can both win, both lose. But something that I've done as a house rule is you calculate. So say yellow and brown, they both have 12 points for whatever reason when the game ends. Instead of them both losing, a tie for last, the way we would calculate it is whoever has the most points, or like most clues in the same space as we'll get to that, but same space. So basically it penalizes the player who has a lot of cubes, points from being on the same floor or adjacent floors as opposed to someone if they just have a lot of points from being on the outskirts. But we'll touch on that, and again, if there's a tie break after that, then we're going to have to play a game of Ticket to Ride in order countries to settle the tie. But again, top 5 players advance, so I'm not worried about ties there. It's more so for you just don't want to lose. So I'll take a break there, and we'll pick up on Act 2 shortly after a little breakfast.